Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Frontlines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. Well, and I am Dan Lutz. Thank you for joining. Today will be a little bit of a different experience. We're going to try something. We're going to do a call-in. We're going to cover some topics, and I've set up the Zoom for audio only, so that because too much video causes not enough video to make it out to YouTube from my system. So we'll go from just audio. So you're welcome to call in. There is a one thing I actually have to start the meeting, so let me do that as well in case there's some people waiting there. So give me a moment. So the passcode to enter is 88888888. It's a total of 8 8s in a row, just to make it easy to remember. 8 8s. So it is. So it's set up again. There's a waiting room, and then I will just let people in as they come in. So if you don't want to be on, don't go on the Zoom. Don't use it for just to call in and listen. Use YouTube for that. And let's just maneuver this around. Sorry. So I can see when people are joining. So, okay, that's set. All right. So again, you will come in muted, and there will also be someone who's already there. Hello. Laura is now joining in. So you, as I said, you'll come in muted. The cameras are off, so it's only going to be set up for audio only. But I am broadcasting video, so but just not from the Zoom link. So that is active right now. Laura has joined in. Before I start talking to Laura, but you're welcome to other people or someone else, admit as well. I'm just going to cover a couple of topics. First of all, the all-important housekeeping of this is a donation-based program. Please, if you can, provide a donation. No donations came in yesterday or today, so 2 days in a row. And okay, so let's. If you're able to, please help. Small amounts are just fine. It actually goes a long way here. So do whatever you can. Next, also want to talk about the Life Force. Please join and get the app for the lifeforce.global or lifeforce.cc. It takes you to the same site. You can get the app and keep up on the meetings. Join an assembly in your state. As I tried to make the last meeting for the assembly, again for the 4th time, I missed it because it didn't happen. A mix up on the timing. They tried to reschedule, and whatever happened, there was no meeting. So please do your best to get there. We are seeing that there are videos, and I'm collecting some of the videos. We'll go into that, of the people taking the Life Force documents on combating COVID and serving the local officials to make them personally liable. There is a way in which we do this in a legal, in a lawful manner, lawful manner, in which when we form an assembly is not the right to protest. The assembly is the governing body of the people. So when we assemble as people, we can tell them, hey, you're not abiding by the Constitution. We're warning you. And so 3 warnings and they lose their bond that allows them to be in the position that they are, and they would have to step down. Now, this is going to be an ongoing battle, but we can see people are serving these officials right now. And so we have video of that happening. while the council sessions are going on, they're being served, and the people talk, and they take their few minutes they're given to speak and let them know and notify them that they are going against the people with these draconian systems that they're putting in place to remove our rights. This is the big push. We have to be aware that this is happening. Someone else is joining from 714 area code, so welcome aboard. So we are. So I'm going to be putting these videos out, and we'll cover them and go on another day. All right. So that's the housekeeping side of things. Now, Monica from the United News Channel had just posted a link in the WWG1WGA.love Telegram group. And I thought it was a good way to start off. It is a clash between the Black Lives Matter and Trump supporters, and they basically get challenged to a dance-off. So it's fun. So let's go take a look at that. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and play this now. Oh, let me realign that a little bit. All right, here we go. So about 3.5 minutes.
Altercations still happening.
Red, white, and blue. And they stand for every one of you. Together, here's what we're gonna do. Make America great. Everybody sing M-A-G-A. M-A-G-A. Hear our voice on the voice. Make some noise. M-A-G-A. M-A-G-A. The American crowd, patriotic and proud, shout it out loud. That's why when it comes time to vote, just remember we're all in the same boat. We're together. We're united, folks, and we won't let them divide us. Walk away from the hate. We're all human, and we don't segregate. Just like women, I'll make America great. We are all in this together. Everybody sing M-A-G-A. M-A-G-A. Black and brown, every city and town. Never keep us down. M-A-G-A. Everybody. M-A-G-A. American crown, American crown. Shout it out loud. M-A-G-A. M-A-G-A. Make some noise. M-A-G-A. M-A-G-A. American crown, American crown. Shout it out loud. M-A-G-A. There we go. Well, that was some uplifting music. So a good way to start. So don't let them divide us. Speak up, and a good way to do it is sing it. Actually, we could all sing all those on the Zoom line. We could do a karaoke of that song. Just saying. Don't have to, but we could. Okay, so let me take a look here now. Okay, so before we get started on anything else, we've got two people that are sitting on the line. One is a phone number. I think it's *6 to unmute yourself, and then Laura is also there. You can also unmute yourself, and because I believe you're able to. Let me make sure. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about not being able to. So you're able. I think you're able to unmute. So okay. So what are we going to get into today? Well, I've got something that came up with True Reporting. It's another YouTube channel that I watch sometimes, but this one isn't of interest to me. And it was he was going through a Twitter post about Antarctica and what is down there. Now, we've talked about this in the past, and I thought it was a good time to review because while he was going through it, something came up. It was like a dot connection, and I wanted to kind of go over that, and so I thought it's good that we'll go ahead and review and go from there. So before we jump in, I'm going to look into the chats, see if there's anything happening there. Okay, hello everybody in the chat. Okay, so someone was online. So BEE, so B. Okay, as in Aunt B in the Andy Griffith show, right? So Aunt B is on, was in the Zoom, and yeah, you can. Well, it's okay to actually come on and talk now. It is. I want to kind of keep it open, and then as we go, we'll stop, go through some of it, and then make comments along the way. And then we'll just try that, see if it works out, other than holding off to the end and then making comments. Because I find that there's things along the way that people may want to say. So just go ahead and pipe up. We can stop and go and stop and go and see how this works out. And we're playing it by ear. Okay, you're able to use the phone, and you can listen that way if you wish. But
Hi.
Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, this is B. Can you hear me?
Hi, B. Aunt B. How are you?
I am doing okay. I have an interesting personal story about Antarctica before you get into it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I had a boss who was very, very excited to go to Antarctica with his best friend. His best friend who got him into the Bohemian Grove. I was young and innocent at the time when I was working for these people. And so they planned this big trip. And within 6 months to a year when he came back, he had MS, which eventually killed him. And in about 6 or 7 years after that trip.
Wow.
And now that I know things, I start putting more and more things together. It's not as much of a coincidence as it was. And his friend ended up with MS too, just not as quickly.
That's interesting.
So I thought, yeah, so Antarctica's always been one of those. Now I really wonder what's going on down there because of my personal experience.
Little side note on the MS side of things. There is the ability to remedy the situation through surgery. I've seen it happen while I was doing an exercise video in Mallorca, Spain. I was a co-producer and happened to be watching the BBC there. There was a German surgical team that cured it. Well, I think that's their word for it.
Mm.
They did it through angioplasty. Angioplasty
Wow.
on the artery leading up to the brain, because what they found is that the reason for the MS was not enough blood flow to the brain, and I mention it every time that I get a chance to. That's why I don't want to let this opportunity go, because there's so many people that have it, and I've told people who have it, and they get no help from their doctors about it, so they go on and continue to suffer. I had helped people with medical marijuana dealing with it, because what does medical marijuana do? It increases the blood flow to the brain, and that's why it would give relief from the symptoms. But this was a way to, and more or less as an angioplasty, as it increases the artery there in size, and hopefully that keeps it there open and keeps the blood flow. And the reason why the blood flow was important was because it all has to do with the misfiring of the neurons, and it's a chemical electric action that's happening. But why are they misfiring? It's because of too much iron being left behind in the brain from the blood that's being carried. It's not enough flow to carry away the heavy iron atoms, and so it builds up, and that buildup behind starts short-circuiting the brain. So anyway, that is a way in which it has been. I've seen, in this was able to be remedied, if you can't say the word cured.
Well, that's interesting, because they say that the vibrations and the whole energy grid down in Antarctica is so completely different and so off because of all the activity there. So that's really interesting that it might have literally affected his body to be able to process the electromagnetic grid and change the energy in his body. And that's why he developed DMS right afterwards.
Yep, that seems feasible. Yeah, this is again symptom of our world, where the structure of it is set up to extract money from us, which is energy from us, to give to others, and so keeping people paying out for medical care over an extended period for their life, for example, just drains them until they pass, and so this is one of the things we need to change as we change the world. What we have before us is we have to make a system that rewards the medical profession for the well people, the people that are well, that they're responsible for. The more well they are, the more they get. When they get sick, they get less. How about that? That way, everyone would live forever.
That would change everything on its head, wouldn't it?
Exactly. So we got to think different. So let's look at how do we do that. So anyway, so let's roll back around. So did you want to make any more comments, or should we get into the?
No, I was interested. Can you tell us what the true reporting video was about?
Yeah, we're going to go through it right now.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So we can make comments along the way. So and I'm not going to. I'm going to show the true reporting video, but I'm going to go right into it's a Twitter feed from someone else that's called Absolute 1776 on Twitter, and that's from August 23rd. His Twitter feed, so it's a while back, but I will post it into the www where we go all.love Telegram group. Sometimes get tongue-tied on that name, and it's a Twitter feed thread that's basically going down into a kind of the storyline of what's there. And now we have talked about this in the past. What is in Antarctica? So, but there's something that I picked up this time. I want to point out and we want to talk about, which gets into Enlil and Inky. Which ties into what we were talking about before. Not exactly the other video that I showed, but that topic comes about in how we're in this worldwide civil war and basically changing the world into a new type of a world, a more positive, abundance-based system. So that's why I want to go through that. So, okay, let me first pull this up. Let me grab this one. So we covered that. I'm going to close down the things as we go there. Okay, and I'll share this with you. So this is the thread on Twitter, so just so you can grab it if you want. So it's Absolute 1776. And this is so let's take a trip down south. But I put this on a thread reader, so it's much easier to go through it this way. Bringing it back up to the top. So this is the thread reader, so it makes it, you know, just easier to read and scroll through. So I'm going to, basically he's saying, why Antarctica? Why is there so much going on down there? Why has it been about 100% politics? Why are the people going down there? Right? What's the point? Is there stargates? Is there ancient civilization? What's going on? Well, we're going to start talking about Admiral Byrd, and I'm just going to point out something. Now, this was after World War II. Admiral Byrd was sent there to look into it. Right now, this is Admiral Byrd. You know, he is a stand-up guy. The guy's no joke, right? He's not going to be telling you a story, right? This is real. So what happened, right? So he was involved with Operation High Jump, and so he basically went down there, and these were the missions, right? You know, training personnel, testing equipment in frigid conditions, consolidating and extending United States sovereignty over the largest parcel of area in Antarctica continent. Publicly denied as the goal, even though, right? So anyway, so they had their missions, but let's see. So as you can see, the mission was basically to test the feasibility of running operations out of Antarctica, which is curious, as this is the same period of World War II was wrapping up, and that Roswell happened, right? And so we know about these guys that have basically been. I don't know why you can't say that word, but I saw on True Reporting he avoided saying that word. So the antiques of today, of yesteryear. It's basically going into you know, why were the Germans interested in that, and then why is there so much happening after World War II down there? What was the big hurry? So it must be that those Antifa type people were down there looking and doing something. So I want to basically I'm going to scroll down. So they're talking about here's a video that goes into Operation High Jump and who was down there and what kind of submarine bases they put and so on. So now here's Admiral Byrd's own recollections. So what I'm going to do is I have a True Reporting queued up over here. I said that letter again. I should start. I have to say lined up. I guess time in Britain must have stuck with me. So it says. So it's these documents. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have him start speaking it, right? And I already have these documents blown up. And we're just going to go through these documents. That's Admiral Byrd's recollection. So this is what he put as what he saw. So here we go.
Antarctica. From this point, I write of the following events here from memory. It defies the imagination and would seem all but madness if it had not happened. The radio man and I are taken from the aircraft, and we are received in a most cordial manner. We were then boarded on a small platform-like conveyance with no wheels. It moved us toward the glowing city with great swiftness. As we approached, the city seems to be made of crystal material. Soon we arrive at a large building that is a type I have never seen before. It appears to be right out of the design board of Frank Lloyd Wright, or perhaps more correctly, out of a Buck Rogers setting. We are given some type of warm beverage which tastes like nothing I've ever savored before. It is delicious. After about 10 minutes, two of our wondrous appearing hosts come to our quarters and announce that I am to accompany them. I have no choice but to comply. I leave my radio man behind and we walk a short distance and enter into what seems to be an elevator. We descend downward for some moments. The machine stops and the door lifts silently upward. We then proceed down a long hallway that is lit by rose-colored lights that seem to be emanating from the very walls themselves. One of the beings motioned for us to stop before a great door. Over the door is an inscription that I cannot even read. The great door slides noisily open, and I am beckoned to enter. One of my hosts speaks. He in quotes says, "Have no fear, Admiral. You have an audience with the Master." I step inside and my eyes adjust to the beautiful correlation that seems to be filling the room completely. Then I begin to see my surroundings. What greeted my eyes is the most beautiful sight of my entire existence. It is in fact too beautiful and wondrous to even describe. It is exquisite and delicate. I do not think there exists a human term that can describe it in any detail with justice. My thoughts are interrupted in a cordial manner by a warm, rich voice of melodious quality. I bid you welcome to our domain, Admiral. I see a man with delicate features and with the etching of years upon his face. He is seated at a long table. He motions me to sit down in one of the chairs. After I am seated, he places his fingertips together and smiles. He speaks softly again and conveys the following in quote, "We have let you enter here because you are of noble character and well known on the surface world, Admiral." Surface world. I half gasp under my breath. Yes, the Master replies with a smile. You are in the domain of the Ariani, the inner world of the earth. We shall not long delay your mission, and you will be safely escorted back to the surface and for a distance beyond. But now, Admiral, I shall tell you why you have been summoned here. Our interest rightly begins just after your race exploded the first atomic bomb over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. It was at that alarming time we sent our flying machines, the Fludgeralds, to your surface world to investigate what your race had done. That is, of course, past history now, my dear Admiral, but I must continue on. You see, we have never interfered before in your race's wars and barbarity, but now we must. For you have learned to tamper with a certain power that is not for man, namely that of atomic energy. Our emissaries have already delivered messages to the powers of your world, and yet they do not heed. Now you have been chosen to be witnessed here that the world does exist. Their world exists. You see, our culture and science is many thousands of years beyond your race, Admiral. I interrupted. But what does this have to do with me, sir? The Admiral asks. The Master's eyes seemed to penetrate deeply into my mind, and after studying me for a few moments, he replied, in quote, "Your race has now reached the point of no return. For there are those among you who would destroy your very world rather than relinquish their power as they know it." I nodded, and the Master continued. In 1945 and afterward, we tried to contact your race, but our efforts were met with hostility, and our Fluggerwalds, I believe, were fired upon, meaning their crafts. Yes, even pursued with malice and animosity by your fighter planes. So now I say to you, my son, there is a great storm gathering in your world. A great storm, my friends. A black fury that will not spend itself for many years. There will be no answer in your arms. There will be no safety in your science. It may rage on until every flower on your culture is trampled, and all human things are leveled in vast chaos. Your recent war was only a prelude of what is yet to come for your race. We here see it more clearly with each hour. Do you say I am mistaken? No, I answer, says the Admiral. It happened once before. The Dark Ages came, and they lasted for more.
So I'm going to stop it there for a moment. So a couple of thoughts along the way. Number one, He said that they are the Aranari. Aranari sounds like Anunnaki. Just, it can be, or just could be, sounds similar. Don't know. The other thing that I want to point out is he said there are those of you that would rather, have everything be destroyed rather than give up their current path, right? So we are seeing that this is the who we're up against right now. And this is about the Dark Ages. We have had an experience of going up against those others in the past, right? And now, if there is, say, a 500-year cycle to this agreement that we have to agree to and go on, if that is the case, 500 years ago was the Dark Ages. To get out of the Dark Ages was a deal made, So it seems like set up the really atrocious type of environment, plague, for example, get everybody to wear a mask, and then divide everyone, make who's the problem, and create this scenario so that people will sign up for the enslavement again. So that's where I just want to point this part out. We'll continue. I just wanted to not lose track of those couple of those points. So.
More than 500 years. Yes, my son, replied the master. The dark ages that will come now for your race will cover the earth like a pall. But I believe that some of your race will live through the storm. Beyond that, I cannot say. We see at a great distance a new world stirring from the ruins of your race, seeking its lost and legendary treasures. Wow. And they will be here, my son, safe in our keeping. When that time arrives, we shall come forward again to help revive your culture and your race. Perhaps by then you will have learned the futility of war and its strife. And after that time, certain of your culture and science will be returned for your race to begin anew. You, my son, are to return to the surface world with this message. With these closing words, our meeting seemed at an end. I stood for a moment as in a dream, but yet I knew this was reality. For some strange reason, I bowed slightly, either out of respect or humility. I do not know which. Suddenly, I was again aware that the two beautiful hosts who had brought me here were again at my side. This way, Admiral, motion one. I turned once more before leaving and looked back towards the master. A gentle smile was etched on his delicate and ancient face. Farewell, my son, he spoke. Then he gestured with a lovely, slender hand in motion of peace, and our meeting was truly ended. Quickly, we walked back through the great door of the master's chamber and once again entered into the elevator. The door slid silently downward, and we were once again going upward. One of my hosts spoke again, and quote, he says, "We must now make haste, Admiral, as the master desires to delay you no longer on your scheduled timetable, and you must return with this message to your race." I said nothing. All of this was most beyond belief, and once again my thoughts were interrupted as we stopped. I entered the room and was again with my radio man. He had an anxious expression on his face. As I approached, I said, "It's all right, Howie. It's all right." The two beings motioned us towards the awaiting conveyance. We boarded and soon arrived back at the aircraft. The engines were idling and we were boarded immediately. The whole atmosphere seemed charged now with a certain air of urgency. After the cargo door was closed, the aircraft was immediately lifted by that unseen force until we reached an altitude of 2,700 feet. Two of the aircraft were alongside for some distance, guiding us on our return way. I must state here, the airspeed indicator registered no reading, yet we were moving at a very rapid rate. 215 hours, a radio message comes through. "We are leaving you now, Admiral. Your controls are free." And then they spoke in a strange language. We watched for a moment as their crafts disappeared into the pale blue sky. The aircraft suddenly felt as though it was caught in a sharp downdraft for a moment. We quickly recovered her control. We do not speak for some time. Each man has his own thoughts. The entry flight log continues. 220 hours. We are again over vast areas of ice and snow, and approximately 27 minutes from base camp. We radio them and they respond. We report all conditions are normal. Base camp expresses relief at our reestablished contact.
Okay, let's stop there. So the master relays that they can see into the future, and that we are going to arise out of this, right? But they're going to save the best parts of humanity for us, for our science, for our history, our culture, and then keep it in safekeeping and bring it back to us later. It's very interesting, that is number one, that they can see into the future. So this goes to Project Looking Glass. Now, this original technology was supposedly came from aliens, right? Out of this planet, aliens, and that this gave the ability for the people to see a possible future from the people that were in the room with the cube. So seeing into the future is something. I just had this conversation again with my friend who's a literary agent, and talked about this time travel capability, or at least seeing into the future, or even the past. And he was not really quite a believer so much, but I said, well, if you ever had deja vu, you just did time travel. Right? Because it's not a dream that you remembered. I mean, so many people always said deja vu it's just a dream that you had, and it's just kind of similar to what is just about to occur. No, it's actually seeing the future a few moments ahead of time. Right? That's that feeling of being pushed forward in time, just moments. Right? Now, I think it has to do with weather, not exactly a wind and rain, and clouds, but more about electromagnetic weather, and maybe an electromagnetic bubble is pushing up against you, and you're kind of just getting a little bit of ahead of yourself, you might say. So, not quite good for getting the lottery numbers, but a small representation of what peering into the future might be like, or even past, possibly. So this is something I think that these beings are saying that they are able to see into the future. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave true reporting behind, because there's just a little bit more, and the reading of Admiral Byrd's own recollections, and this is let's talk about some of the other things that are in Antarctica. So we'll go back to the thread. So let me get that lined up for a moment. There we go. So we're just going to slide down here, and we'll just go into what else is down here. Well, here's some interesting ice ships. This is what they're pointing out here. What does this look like? What else? Well, you know about the pyramids, right? You might have even saw we showed a video long ago, maybe at least a year ago, about some troopers dropping out of the back of airplanes with parachutes, and you could see this particular pyramid was in the background of where they're jumping down to, and then later on going up to the pyramid, and there being a big gash in the pyramid on the side. So this is pointing out that this alignment of pyramids is similar to what they found in Giza, right? Same type of setup of different pyramids lining up for something. Now this is another one which is kind of interesting. This is a gigantic rectangular iceberg. It looks to have been perfectly cut. Now, could be a natural occurrence, or something cut out a square, or a rectangle of ice, and cut it loose. Very, very strange, isn't it? All right, more images of things that may be down there. So this is looking like a big entrance to an underground facility. Yeah, your eyes go googly about that, right? A big Antarctic circle, right? It's about maps. And here's another interesting one. Well, so don't know what this is, but it does seem regular shapes spaced apart, right? And there seems to be some other ones. There's like a second line and a third line of them. So what we're going to get down to here is there's a lot of interesting things going on. So this is talking about, the people that went down. So John Kerry, right? Tom Hanks, the Pope, Obama, the Kirill, they all went down there. And that there's also a Rothschild Island down there. Interesting, right? So let's keep going. So what about this? The Ark of Gabriel. It's supposed to be a powerful object that is basically the power of God within it. Now, the Kirill and the Pope met, and then this was taken down there by the Russians, the Ark of Gabriel. So let's see this right here. So when the Roman Crusaders pillaged Constantinople in 1204, Eastern Orthodox Church was able to squirrel away contents of a manuscript from the Hagia Sophia Cathedral titled Gabriel's Instructions to Muhammad. Right? And remember, Gabriel was the angel that dictated to Muhammad the Quran. The document details the message that Archangel gave to Muhammad in a cave near the holy city of Mecca. Right? It tells of a box, the Ark, that holds a tremendous power that belongs only to God. Now, if we take this in context of the Anunnaki and the storyline that we're familiar with, Enki and Enlil, right? Are these the gods that this is the power of? Is this what they're referring to? So it says, belongs to God, and the ark was forbidden until the resurrection day, and until then buried in the altar within the place of worship of the angels before the creation of man. So resurrection day. So what is that? If this is to be brought out, and it was taken to Antarctica, 2 pyramids, right, to where there may be some let's say ability for there to be a resurrection. What would be resurrecting? Well, a body, right? So this is supposedly the lightning strike that took place when they first were digging for the Ark of Gabriel, right? This flash of light that took place, and then the Russians brought it on a ship. And this is the first time in 1,000 years that the Pope and the Kirill of Russia, so the Catholic Orthodox Church of Russia, met, right? He's like, oh, let's get together for a talk, right? And then they send the Ark of Gabriel down there. So this is the point, right? So let's get to why I wanted to bring this up is, if we are seeing a narrative in which we are to say that the Anunnaki are gods and they've come back, right? Or in this case, possibly resurrected. I've had this theory that possibly that the Anunnaki, just their consciousness was moved from body to body, and that consciousness would exhibit like in a body in one god, and then like say in Egypt, and then while you're in Central America to the Mayans, you appear as a different god, right? But it's the same consciousness being moved from body to body. What if there's a body inside in stasis, waiting for the time of resurrection, when the Ark of Gabriel comes in and possibly downloads the consciousness into that body, or provides the mechanism for the download to happen? Just a thought, right? That's why I kind of thought, well, this is kind of like a narrative that's forming, right? Where we've got this world in turmoil. Hey, by the way, they've shut off the planet, out of business, things all shut down, the whole world. Crazy, isn't it? Is this the time, the end times? I mean, what other time is it if it's not the end times, right? But what does it mean, right? It's what is the perspective? And I'm not talking about hellfire and brimstone type of end of the world, but a retransformation to happen, and it's up to us to make sure that transformation takes place. So I'm just giving some perspective as to, is this something that's happening? Yes. They're gone down to Antarctica. All these people went down there. There is something going on. What is it? Don't know. What I do know is that we've got Trump leading 193 countries against an invisible enemy, and that they are going all out to basically cause as much mayhem as possible, to cause people to fight and divide. And we have to not divide. We have to be calm, even in the face of all of the stuff that's happening. And though you may want to be angry about what's going on and take action that would result in the death of others, we can't get into that. We have to let the officials, which Trump is there to do, even if they're not being called on by those local governments, that means we have to go into the assemblies and tell those governors and those mayors, you're out of here, right? We have to stand up. We have to do things. We're the ones responsible. We have to make our effort to make the new world. And we can't wait for others to do it. But keep in mind, we have to do it not through war. We can't go to war. We have to do it as peacefully as possible and with as minimal amount of damage as possible. They're going to try and goad us into fighting them because they want there to be all of this chaos. That is their goal, to have civil war. We cannot allow it to go into a battle of street by street fighting with everyone killing each other. We can't do it. We can't go there. The good thing is that though the war is being played out in front of us as a movie, because that's how we're programmed. This is what we know as reality. We're programmed via all of this mainstream media, Hollywood, and what comes even over the internet, through our channels and stuff. This is a way that, my revealing information is kind of a programming, right? It's saying, hey, here's another possible narrative that may be coming our way. Hey, they may be wanting to be the peacemakers. That's what they're telling us in the narrative. And the God comes back to life, right? And now it's here. So I don't want, the Anunnaki to show up and say, hey, we're gods, we're here, we were the ones that made you guys. You got to worship us. Don't want to go there. No. But we have to realize that the deep state, cabal, Illuminati, want to worship their God. Even though, my perspective is they've been duped. They were looked at as low lives, of humanity as low lives, and they're just their servants that they've deemed, that they have some of their blood. So we'll have you be the head slave masters. But they get them to kill everyone, kill one another, as though, it's their own kind. right? From the demigods, those that they're worshiping point of view, is that they're they're lowly creatures, and it doesn't matter if they kill each other. That just proves that they're just beasts and not deserving of having a say in how they're doing anything. So they have them kill their own children and suck their brains dry, just for their own longevity. These guys have been duped. But they don't. But since they've had the power, right, the control of power levers around the world, we get to see that that's what has been going on. So, okay, so let's open it up. So if anyone, Aunt B, if you're still there, you can join back in, and we can continue.
I'm here. I'm trying to remember. A long time ago, I remembered reading something about how we would know it was end times when they raised Apollo from the death, or that Apollo was coming back. Which, to me, the Anunnaki gods and the Greek gods are all the same, just with different names.
That's what I mean. They're just they masqueraded as different names. Cultural differences, languages, and so I can see Apollo is Inky or Enlil or one of the two. It doesn't really matter.
No, actually, Apollo is one of their sons.
Oh, okay.
Apollo is one of their sons.
Yeah, that's okay. Marduk, Marduk is a grandson of Inky, right? So,
right,
maybe
and Marduk's not Apollo. I had it at one point. I had it all worked out in my head who was who for all the different gods.
Okay.
But Apollo's one of Enlil's sons, not and Marduk's Inky. So Apollo is not not Marduk.
Well, that's all very important. I know that this makes a big. But if they come back here, come for dinner. Be respectful. Treat us as equals, and we'll welcome you.
No, but I actually was. That's the first thing I thought of when you read that thing about Resurrection Day, and I also thought, no, we don't really need them to show up and take care of us. We can take care of ourselves. Thank you very much. Anyway,
okay,
that was my comment.
All right. Well, thank you for that. But I'm just so you know that there's two people still on the line, so you're welcome to join in at any time. And if you come in by the Zoom link, you'll have to unmute yourself. If you call, then you'll have to do *6 to unmute yourself to come in muted. So this is this conversation about Inky and Enlil, I find, is a little too much about this path that the deep state has set up for us, right? It's for them. It's all about how to move the masses to where they want them to go. Where they want us to go is to worship them as gods, the slave masters. It's time for them to be bumped up to God status, right? They've had a taste of it all this time. They have not been acting as the best caretakers of the people, right? They've been acting as though they were the masters of all of us, as though they were the gods. And so this narrative that they've been constructing, through ancient aliens programming from the Rockefellers that paid for all of that stuff to be made. So I'm not saying that there's not ancient aliens. In fact, I'm saying that it's all correct, but it's the spin, right? It's the direction they want us to go, right? So if they show up again, how many people will say, "Oh, our gods have returned"? Especially when you got a big contingent out there. I don't know how big they are. Are they, hundreds of thousands of people, or is there millions of people that are really already to bow down to them? And all those that are not going to bow down to them, right, then they're to be re-educated, or you remove the head and all this kind of stuff. So this whole thing is the storyline we don't want to go down. Right? We don't want to get to that point where they're starting their new religion. Oh, and by the way, about the new religion side of things, the Catholic Church is well on their way. I saw a video where these devout Catholics in New York went to Mass, and it was actually the guy was having a date. He was taking his date to Mass. It's pretty religious right there. that's okay. But when he got there, they were talking about social justice. You know, Black Lives Matter. George Floyd picture being there, and so they were pushing this new religion. So the Catholic Church has left behind traditional teachings, if that's in this transition, right? This is all about starting this new religion, this one world religion, right? And it'll be about social justice. That's where they're going. So very interesting, you know, that this part of it, right? One world religion, one world government, one world currency. All of this is all happening right now. It's happening right now. It's not like something coming around the corner. It's here. You know, you can say it's the end of the Mayan calendar, you know, just rolling on out, right? But, you know, in perspective, it's just a blink of the eye, you know, since that happened. It's only, you know, 14 years ago. So we're right? I don't know. So this is something that's happening, you know, as we've been told, right, that there is the Armageddon, there is the rapture. We have all of these stories that have been, you know, told that are us coming. For how long have we been programmed this, right? But how it unfolds, there's a direction that they want to take it. We also had Project Bluebeam, right, which was the way to unite the world would be an alien invasion. Well, we would be talking about an alien invasion, right? To fight who? One of the aliens. We've got Inky and Enlil, right? They fought to have supremacy over the earth. They already had the fight before, and caused the nuclear calamity, and you know that's why all of the Saudi Arabia, you know, or the Middle East and North Africa is all desert land, right? It's all been wiped out from the past, right? And we've recovered. Right? So this is you know, something that we can see is unfolding before our eyes. So we're not. We have to be aware enough to see it, and we have to gather under one umbrella to say that no, we're not going to go down that line. We're not going to be there. Oh, we've got someone else that wants to join in. Roberta. Hello, Roberta. When you come on, you'll have to go ahead and unmute yourself if you'd like to join in on the conversation. We've got two others as well. We've got three on the line, so just go ahead and interrupt me, or I'll just keep talking. We do have this unfolding in a way that probably wasn't predicted. You know, having Trump come up, the plan to outmaneuver things. Now, I go back to Tesla being the one that created this plan because he was able to see the future. He was able to set things in motion, to get certain things into certain people's hands. Do you think that John Trump, who took over all of Tesla's equipment after he died, when the U.S. government sent John Trump in to take care of all of this stuff, that he did not have a prior relationship with Tesla? It was just like all of a sudden he just got thrown in? No. they already were in conversations beforehand, right? There was this technology for seeing in the future. I think goes back probably a lot, probably 50 years earlier to where he died, when Tesla was young. So we can see that there is that we have the opportunity now, just as because we were able to see into the future, just as the master told Admiral Byrd, we can see into the future, and there's going to be a major calamities, major war, and things coming your way. And it's just like the dark ages of the past. So we have the opportunity this is our dark age. We've been already in it since World War II. We're already in the dark age. It was growing and taking over, but now it's identified and it's being routed. It's being removed, surgically removed around the world. Right, the tentacles that go into every government, into every educational center, into every corporate office, are being extracted. How many CEOs have been removed? How many government people have stepped down? What happened to Paul Ryan? Right? Oh, he just decided to give up politics when he's at the top of his game? No. He was forced out.
I have a question. This
Yeah.
is at me again. Do you think that John Trump had anything to do with the Philadelphia project that Tesla was involved in? Do you know about the Philadelphia experiment?
I do know about it, yes. I do think that there was a previous relationship there, because John Trump set up some companies to do power transmission, right? And he started those companies up. He must have had a long time experience with. The government's not going to pick someone that doesn't know what to do with the technology, right?
That makes sense.
So I don't know if John Trump had his hands in the Philadelphia experiment, right? But it would make sense that he was involved with the government managing things to do with Tesla, and then continued that to take over everything at Tesla afterwards. That just makes sense. You don't.
So he could have been like Tesla's handler, you think?
Oh, sure. That's a good way to think about it. I would say that's quite possible.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. So
It also makes sense how Trump somehow managed to prepare himself to do this.
Trump as the number 17 guy, those guys, our guys, have said, how is Trump always 5 steps ahead of them? This whole thing with the mail-in ballot thing was. Trump laid down cookie crumbs about this a year ago, talking about mail-in ballots, and all of the things that he drops and seems like out of context, but have kind of a bit of a different vibration. He drops these. I take note. I said, okay, when is this going to come up? Where are we going with this? So the mail-in ballots, and now it seems like Trump revealed one of his countermeasures, right? Is that okay, everyone, go ahead, do your mail-in ballot. Go ahead, you got it in the mail. Then go to the polls anyway. And just make sure your vote was counted. Because that way they can't throw away mail-in ballots and substitute them. Right? Because people will be noticing and say, hey, I mailed mine in. Where is it? So it will actually throw a big wrench into their works of trying to do it. That's why the media is like going crazy. They don't know what to do. Say, Trump is telling them to vote twice.
It's funny you say that. Tank literally just posted or retweeted somebody on saying that ICE led to 19 illegal aliens charged with voter fraud in North Carolina. So it just popped up in my Twitter feed from Tank about voter fraud in North Carolina.
Yeah. So Trump is ahead of them, right? He's always been just ahead. That's why I started thinking about this when we first started talking with Wits Ministries, and we've talked about and we had the conversation about the Operation Looking Glass and being able to see into the future. I mean, I had this theory about deja vu being really seen into the future for a long time. This isn't just something that I came up with now. This is probably in my early 30s. I basically came up with this answer that it was actually time, that you're actually seeing ahead in time. That you're getting into a magnetic weather pattern. And it also has to do with generation of reality, how you generate reality. Not everyone gets deja vus as well. It's kind of interesting. I've had deja vus, and people around me, they have no effect. They didn't get it. So how can it be a magnetic pattern for just me? I guess it's possible, but I would think some people are just not attuned to it.
It is possible because everybody vibrates at a different frequency. So even if you're in the same room, you're not exactly the same note as everybody else.
Yeah.
So your note could be the one
so in that way. So let's look at that. So if we're all vibrating, right? So if I'm very focused and determined on my path, right? I'm creating reality. It's unfolding before me, and I have people in the same room with me. There may be friends. I may be interacting with them or not, and they may be just like leaves on the river, right? They're just spinning in this eddy current, and they're doing this or doing that, and they're just floating along with the one that has focus, right? So would they notice, a reality bubble being pushed back over top of them? Probably not.
Actually, I have a personal history story. My son, when he was, I don't know, early teens or something, we were all in the car together, and he said, "Ooh, I just had a deja vu." And obviously none of the other people in the car had it, but he recognized that he had just had it, and he brought it to our attention. So I know that the deja vu is for one person in a group at the time, not for everybody all at once.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I noticed that a long time ago too, and that's why I thought it has to do with reality generation. So those that are generating reality, it's kind of like we all are doing it, right? But if your reality that you're doing is really just spinning you in a circle, right? But someone else is like cutting a canal through the continent. There's going to be a different way in which energies are interacting with the one that's at the lead of the reality generation. So this is why when Tank and I first started doing this, and we started talking about generating reality and taking our first steps, right, is to be consistent and move forward, right, and so by moving forward, taking one small step every day, we brought about a reality in which we can transform the world, right, and everyone that steps alongside with us is creating this world, and the more people that are going this way, and so that's also the whole those guys number 17 phenomena, right? This is worldwide. We're all taking steps going this direction, right? Even if our particular channeling of through the continent, because we're working from the aspect of the the main trustee of the trust, or the comptroller of the trust, and and bringing back the wealth to all the individuals, all the asset being given back to the people. This is let's just say at the tip of the spear, right? This is something that is most people, they'll start getting the point about the deep state, right? They kind of get a handle on it. Okay, on the most basic level, the deep state is, government gone awry, right? People, the apparatus of government and bureaucracy has consumed everybody, and so the people can, take that small step to get into the how they keep power, through blackmail, and that's another step that people can take, right? But to absorb, what's down in Antarctica, as part of what's going on with Trump and the removal of the Fourth Reich from the planet. This is outside of most people's, able to see, right? It's just like the story where the pilgrims arriving, in America, right? And the Native Americans were at the shore, and they're looking out over the ocean, and they see the medicine man, is out there looking off in the distance, and he sees these ships, right? But the others, they can't see them. They can look out in the water, but since it's outside of their reality, they can't conceive of a massive ship riding over the water and coming from the ocean. It's never happened before, right? So, but the medicine man's mind is opened to more possibilities. I don't know what he's smoking, but he's able to see something, and then he can clue them in. He can say, "Hey, take a look. Can you kind of focus over there, see kind of a shape," and then it kind of reveals to them. It comes into their reality.
Well, look at how far we've come since October of 2017, when a specific person started posting. I mean, it's now, from there to the whole Wayfarer scandal that went through Twitter a few weeks ago. I mean, that's like a megalithic jump in reality and knowing what's really going on behind the surface. You know what I mean? Yes,
I do know what you mean. I'm thinking though, with this, how well conceived this, number 17, posts have been, that it's all based around this election, and that the very first posts are the very last posts that we need to consider. When we get to the point of these first posts about Hillary and about the arrests and all this, it happens on November 4th. So we're leading up to the beginning, right? It's just all in reverse. That's how.
That's an out of the box way of thinking about it. Is that the posts go backwards?
They go backwards. Yes, they're aligned up to the dates. Like 1 year apart, 2 year apart, 3 year apart. This is how. How else are they going to tell people that they can see into the future? Well, look what we've shown you here. Just experienced it, right? Here's the last, the very first post is the very last thing that starts here, right? So I could easily see that the October 17th was the first post. So I think
it was. No, it was the 27th.
27th. Okay, so October.
It was October 27th.
So whenever the first post, we could see the last post from those guys happen this year. Be on that date. I wouldn't be surprised, right? Because
future does prove past, right?
Yeah, and it may at that point be over, and that it's not used anymore. It's possible because the media is then apprehended. I mean, I'm sure that these that they are guilty of treason, right? That across the board, right? And when they get picked up, everyone will know why, right? They're bad, bad guys, right? And so this is well constructed and well planned out. Is it AI, or is it, being able to see all the possibilities of futures and maneuver them?
I think it's a bit of both, actually.
It could be. It could be a bit of both. So this is something I think is going to be perplexing for a while, because I don't know if they even reveal what happens after this. Excuse me. Oh, I see. Let me see.
Well, in your MR.
I'm going to see if we have any more chat in the chat. So go ahead. You talk. I'm just going to read.
Okay. In the Antarctica thing, remember how he was saying that we're not sure that everyone will make it through the Great Storm? And what is the Post been saying we're in right now? The Great Storm. So They said they saw up to through the Great Storm that some people make it through, but they didn't know how many. And that was in 1947. That was way before the tide had turned to the positive. So I found that quote also very interesting in the stuff you read today.
Yeah. Well, we have there's also an eye of the storm, right? So I was looking at this period where we've kind of been like coasting, right? Sort of in a way, because when it starts getting fast and furious, I think it'll be after the election. I think we could let's say the mainstream media decides not to call the election for Trump, right? Right. What they said? Well, he's got the vote now, but we've got the absentee ballots, and it's looking good for him now, but we can't call it because of all these other votes. So at this point, if the arrests start on the 4th, and it's all about what is going to be happening, right? Is they're going to be picked up. They're going to go, and they're going to see. They're not going to call it because they know that these are how bad these guys are. This is what's going on. So this would make a perfect time to take out the mainstream media at that point. This is also something that has occurred in the past. The mainstream media of the past also has been replaced because of treason. It's happened before the Civil War, right? It's happened before the Revolutionary War. Yeah. Because the media was all controlled back then too by the people who had money and owned the newspapers, right? And they would control the presidents and that from back that time.
So Lincoln cleaned everything up, and then they got back in control around the turn of the century again.
Yeah, well, they had to get rid of Lincoln again, right? He won, and he had the new greenbacks, and so why would he need their money anymore? So countries don't need this. Now, we're kind of jumping around a little bit here, but also, I just saw something. So Louis is saying, talking about gods or Satan. Satan is Inky. Inky rules Satan. So that was you. Aunt B is saying that, so I get it. So we have a couple of different things. So like that video that we went through the other day, Satan was from Orion. They were brought in later. They were not Anunnaki. They were just another race. So we look at I kind of look back to that movie Jupiter Ascending. Right. Remember, you had the reptilian guards there. They were being commanded by the human-looking, gods. They claimed to be gods, right? And they lived forever. Right? So different races, playing different parts, doing different things, and so bring him in. Bring in the guy to basically look over the planet because of the bad people. It's hard to say, right? Because there's so many stories. I think what we really have to focus on is knowing that, number one, we want to be at peace with one another and accept one another for who we are, whatever color or nationality or sexual orientation, whatever, we can accept that what the way people want to live. Right? But we have to, get back to our understanding of what the agenda has been against humanity, right? And we have to bring family as this back to the center, right? Not, we can see they're trying to eliminate the female gender, right? They're trying to basically eliminate that and go back to what there was before. If you go back to these old storylines, what was the Anunnaki doing? They had a race before of that were slaves for this planet, but they had only one gender, right? They were just workers. They were bred by breeders. They were Anunnaki breeders, and these breeders would pump them out, right? But that was a very limited supply that way, right? But if so they're trying to reverse the process. So if you wanted to pick sides, that would be an Enlil side, right?
That's Enlil side.
It'll be the Enlil side. So the Inky side, split up and made male and female, so that there could be genders just like the Anunnaki have. But Enlil was unhappy about this, and so they're trying to go backwards. Now it might even be the Anunnaki again. It may be just their followers, right? The ones worshiping them, the bloodline families. This whatever is in their head, as I said, I think they've been duped, and their version of reality of what they've been in is also just a construct of these things, and that's what they've chosen to believe, and that is their reality. So again, we don't have to agree with what they're thinking is right or wrong, right? We know it's wrong for us, and it's being harmful to us when they're killing us. So that's what we have to realize, and stop the killing. So we go back to this YouTube I started off with that Monica had sent me. This was a video about coming together, right? Singing the YMCA, but MAGA, singing MAGA, right? So this is this is what we have to realize, is that we have to come together and realize, even when we're going up in battle against these, we're serving people papers from the assemblies to individual people in different committees or councils or whatever, and we're telling them, you're responsible financially for this, you're going against the Constitution. They don't know, right? These are not bad people.
Right.
There are bad people amongst them, the ones that are controlled and put on the leash, right? That have gone down the line to be the elite, right? The Ellites.
They've just been trained in the way of treating people like that. That's just how they've been indoctrinated.
They've been indoctrinated. They've been trained to treat people as the sheeple. Oh, they're too stupid to govern themselves. Well, who made them stupid, right? You put us into the educational centers to educate us, so it's your responsibility for this, teaching us bad things. While they're doing bad things, and they were taught bad things. They've been duped. They've seriously been duped, and they've been going along with it for thousands of years. It's going along, and they said, well, hey, after all, they get power for doing it, so obviously that must be the good thing to do, right? Because they end up with power, and that's all about harvesting the energy, power from individuals and giving it to them and passing it up to their God. They've been duped, right? So time for us to, stand up, take control of our planet, do all good things for everybody, right? Make a fair system. I call it open architecture, closed source, meaning you can make money off of the things that you hold as your ways of doing things, your secrets, the way you've way you make your own furniture for your cabinet maker. Right? You're a chemist. You know how to put these chemicals together to make something. Right? You create your benefit, right, for everybody. Now, if you have in mind to harm others for your own benefit, then that's that old Anunnaki training system, right? You've been programmed to think that way, so you've been duped, right? It's
Dan, somebody has a question in the chat.
Oh, how does the Galactic Federation fit in? Well, they fit into the galaxy because they're the Galactic Federation. I really don't know what this whole story is. I mean, I've heard too many things. It's just like I don't know everything about the Anunnaki and who's on what's, who's the good guy between Enlil and Enki. You can get both sides of the story, and maybe they're both good, both bad. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. But the Galactic Federation, it's hard to fit that in. How many other groups are on the planet? How many are part of the Galactic Federation? Are all of them part of the Galactic Federation? How many are out there? I think that the world is teeming. Well, I shouldn't say world. The universe is teeming with life. I don't think it's rare. I think it is the default condition of reality, is there to be life everywhere. Now, how much of it is sentient life that we are concerned with, and the Hubble telescope was focused on one empty part of the sky around the Big Dipper and beyond, but it focused on the empty part, left running for forget how many, it was a while, and it just sucked up all the information it could. And then when they revealed it, it showed that it was thousands of galaxies, all different looking, different colors and everything else. So almost, and they're so far apart that, how could you even go from one to the other, by, a mechanical ship, it'd take you forever. I like this Stargate universe, right? They found an ancient ship that was focused on going galaxy to galaxy, right? And it would harvest energy from the different suns, and it would get energy and go through that galaxy. When it get to the edge of a galaxy, it would then head off to the next one to go and take a look what was there. And it was going to go on for another million years, another million years, another million years, all heading to the edge of the universe where it's headed out to. Could it ever actually get there? Would be another question. Is it even possible to get to the edge? So there's life everywhere, and if the Galactic Council is just this galaxy, right? How many races are there? Is it 100? Is it 1,000? Is it 10,000? How many of them are decided to gather together? So I hear that the Anunnaki were part of the Orions or the Reptilians, and I've also heard that they're not. So, that they've, Orions were the last, reptilian, the last two strongholds that they've been pushed back out of the universe of their ways of doing things, are not appreciated, of like being a parasite on the people. As long as we agree by free will to be fed upon, right, then it's okay with the Galactic Council. Right? But if we've been deceived and trained to do things in this way, for us to get it's it doesn't seem like it's so fair, but at least, they've been forced out of everywhere except for Earth and their own homeworld. And if that's true, I'm glad that we've pushed them out of here and they're gone. Right? Now we're just dealing with their mess that they left behind with these, slave master bloodline families. So, okay, anything else? So Louis is saying, to me, spaceman doesn't want us to try and eat them. That's just me. So I guess they don't want us to eat them. Okay, well they were eating us, so okay, fine. Maybe we don't eat them. Maybe it's karma if they get eaten. Maybe they were eaten. Who knows? Yeah, it's part of their reality. Oh, KFC. Yeah, I heard way back when they couldn't call it chicken anymore because it was GMO'd, and so that's why they had to change the name. It wasn't because it was fried; it was because they couldn't say chicken. I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounded about right. Okay, Curious Looking Inside is asking Dan, do you ever hear about the book called We Are Not Alone, Part 1, 2, and 3 by Endel Bial? I think you might find it very interesting. It could be very interesting. I have heard of it, yes. I have not read it. But we're in this in a place where, I think we're going to be seeing that there have been, encounters here on this planet with others. And maybe that we got, a dozen or so living here with us, like Paradise, California. I mean, it makes sense to me that there was a place where they were intermixing with us on the planet as a test how to do it. And then, of course, what gets destroyed by fire from, blue light lasers from space, suddenly, houses burn down without it burning the vegetation around the homes, but wipes out this one city where they were supposed to be. So this is a war, and there are casualties in this war, and we got to keep fighting, keep moving. And anyway, I think we're good for today. We've got an hour and a half in. I think it's okay. We get to an hour and a half, but otherwise we go to 2 hours and 3 hours. It gets a bit long for people, especially it's late at night. It's after midnight. I am trying to do these earlier, so I'm glad that we were able to get started earlier today. I'm trying for about 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think that I'll try again tomorrow to do it that time, and I think that's good. So again, until tomorrow, do what you can if you can. Send a donation by PayPal. That would be good. Other methods, Bitcoin, also very well done. And I think tomorrow we may cover. Well, anyway, we'll talk about that. As I'm not sure I want to do that one or not. But until then, I'll talk to you. Thanks for all of you for joining. And anything from the Zoom call? Anyone else want to say anything?
No, I just said good night.
Okay.
I'll try and catch you tomorrow.
Okay. Well, thank you, Aunt B. And thank also Laura and Roberta for joining in. Bye all.